You believe you're strong enough, that you're beyond the reach of pain. But why does a single indifferent glance or a careless remark from someone else still linger, echoing in your mind long after the moment passes? Maybe the truth is simpler, yet more uncomfortable than you'd like to admit. Your pain was never really caused by the other person's words or actions. Instead, it emerges from somewhere deeper. Hidden layers of past wounds you've buried within yourself and tried desperately to forget. Those wounds you ignore don't vanish. They quietly remain, creating dark pockets of unresolved pain and buried memories that shape how you react, how you feel, and even how you think about yourself. They form an invisible part of your inner landscape, silently guiding your emotions, decisions, and behavior without your awareness or permission. Ask yourself honestly, if you've truly moved beyond these past experiences, then why do they still wield such effortless power over your emotions? Why do they still trigger your fears, ignite your anger, and dictate your insecurities so easily? Carl Jung described these hidden inner territories as the personal unconscious, the secret reservoir of unresolved emotions, suppressed memories, and forgotten traumas. They influence every reaction, every feeling, every perception you hold, often without you even realizing their presence. Consider this for a moment. How much longer will you allow something invisible and unacknowledged within you to silently control your entire emotional world? Deep within, your hidden wounds have silently shaped your reality, carving out spaces in your subconscious where unresolved pain still resides. These experiences, moments you brushed aside, hurts you quickly buried beneath layers of forced strength, never actually disappeared. Instead, they took root, creating what Carl Jung identified as your personal unconscious, a shadowy realm where forgotten memories and suppressed emotions quietly dictate your reactions, often without your conscious awareness. Consider this carefully. No one truly has the power to hurt you unless somewhere deep inside you already carry an open wound. The harsh remark from a friend, a careless criticism from your boss, or even an indifferent glance from someone important. These don't create pain. They merely trigger something unresolved, something you've secretly feared to be true. Your pain in reality does not come from the outside. It emerges from within. Could it be that the reason you felt deeply hurt by a simple, offhand comment about your competence, appearance, or worth wasn't because of the words themselves, but rather because you already believed them, even if just slightly in a quiet corner of your mind? This is the uncomfortable truth many choose to ignore. If you had truly processed and moved past these wounds, no external opinion could shake your inner core. The fact that it still can points directly toward those unresolved memories buried in your personal unconscious. This is the hidden mechanism controlling your reactions, triggering insecurities you haven't yet confronted. Now imagine the heavy price you pay by continuously refusing to acknowledge these buried wounds. Many people believe strength lies in emotional control, in hiding pain, suppressing discomfort, or maintaining constant composure. But isn't that merely an exhausting illusion? The harder you try to conceal your pain, the more tension builds within you. It becomes a relentless internal battle where you're both the fighter and the opponent. The persistent exhaustion, the relentless anxiety, the recurring unease you feel, these are unmistakable signs that your struggle is not with the world, but with yourself. Have you noticed how often you remain in an emotional defense mode, constantly on alert, always preparing for the next emotional threat? This perpetual state of inner vigilance drains your energy, making everyday encounters feel like potential ambushes. This heightened alertness isn't natural. It's your subconscious desperately signaling that something deep within needs your attention. It is your personal unconscious, constantly triggering your brain's reticular activating system, RAS, the neurological mechanism responsible for your constant alertness and heightened sensitivity to perceived emotional dangers. When unresolved memories haunt your unconscious mind, your brain is perpetually primed, always expecting threats, leaving you exhausted, anxious, and overwhelmed. Can you really call this state of chronic tension and anxiety true strength? Take a moment to recognize the broader consequences of continually avoiding these hidden psychological wounds. Over time, the effects ripple outward, silently infiltrating every aspect of your daily life. Toxic relationships become normalized because, deep down, you believe the pain they cause is somehow familiar or even deserved. Patterns of self-sabotage appear. Missed opportunities, failed relationships, projects abandoned halfway. Because somewhere deep inside, unresolved pain convinces you that failure is inevitable. Your motivation and life energy slowly diminish as your personal unconscious silently whispers doubts, sabotaging your ability to trust your own capabilities. Picture yourself as a puppet whose movements are dictated by invisible strings. These strings are your forgotten wounds, your hidden fears, your unresolved memories. They quietly pull you into emotional reactions, guiding your decisions and affecting your relationships, career, and inner peace. Without even realizing it, you've handed over control of your emotional well-being to the ghosts of your past. But here lies the crucial insight. An insight powerful enough to reverse everything you've believed until now. Real strength isn't about controlling or hiding your pain. Real strength comes when you courageously and honestly face everything hidden within you. All those uncomfortable truths you've been running away from. Instead of building walls or crafting masks, it's time to directly address the suppressed emotions that secretly guide you. Carl Jung described this courageous act of embracing and integrating your unconscious pain as the process of individuation. Individuation doesn't mean becoming perfect. It means becoming whole. It means acknowledging, understanding, and accepting every fragmented piece of yourself, including the parts you've spent years trying to forget. When you allow yourself to fully see and accept those shadowed corners of your subconscious, something transformative happens. Suddenly, those old memories, hurts, and insecurities lose their control over you. They become experiences rather than active emotional wounds. Picture the moment you finally look clearly at the memories you've avoided, the criticisms you've internalized, the rejections you've carried, the fears you've buried. When you allow yourself to face these directly and acknowledge their existence openly, their power diminishes. You begin to understand their role in your past, and more importantly, you realize they no longer define your present. By consciously integrating these unconscious wounds into your awareness, you no longer remain a puppet controlled by invisible strings. Instead, you become the observer, someone capable of witnessing these memories without being consumed by them. Your emotional responses become deliberate rather than reactive. Your life decisions become purposeful rather than fear-driven. Now pause and genuinely reflect. Isn't this the kind of strength you've always yearned for? A strength rooted not in defensiveness or emotional control, but in absolute clarity and full self-acceptance? This is the transformation Carl Jung describes. The evolution from fragmented identity into a unified, conscious individual, free from unconscious manipulation. The choice lies entirely with you. You can continue avoiding, hiding, and suppressing, or you can courageously face the truth hidden within your personal unconscious. You can break free from the exhausting loop of emotional reactions triggered by forgotten wounds. You can reclaim your strength, not by avoiding pain, but by fully understanding it. Because the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, remains simple. When you stop hiding from yourself, nothing outside can control you any longer. This is what it truly means to heal, to integrate your forgotten wounds, reclaim your inner authority, and finally, for the first time, become genuinely unbreakable. Have you ever paused to consider that what you've always called emotional strength, your carefully constructed armor might actually be the very thing that weakens you? You've spent years meticulously building protective layers, believing these walls could shield you from pain, disappointment, rejection. Yet, despite this supposed protection, the pain always seems to find a way in. This is because real emotional armor isn't a hardened exterior. It's a core of inner clarity, self-understanding, and profound acceptance. It's not something you wear to keep the world out. It's something you cultivate from within, making you unshakable in the face of any emotional storm. Consider this deeply for a moment. Imagine your emotions as weather systems, storms that sometimes feel unstoppable, overwhelming, and chaotic. Until now, perhaps you felt trapped inside each storm, tossed helplessly by the winds of your reactions, caught in endless cycles of anxiety, anger, and sorrow. But what if you've misunderstood your role all this time? What if you're not the storm at all? What if you are the sky, vast, open, and limitless, calmly observing every tempest without being changed by its fury? Your emotions, no matter how intense, pass through you. Much like clouds drifting across an endless horizon, the sky remains unchanged by the weather that moves through it. Storms, no matter how violent, eventually dissipate, leaving the sky untouched, clear, peaceful. This is precisely how your inner core functions. It is your true self, the quiet observer within, always present, always steady beneath the turbulence. The moment you recognize this, your entire relationship with your emotional life begins to transform. What would change for you if you stopped believing that every feeling defines you? How differently would you live if you understood your emotional states as temporary visitors rather than permanent identities? Imagine right now that instead of being swept away by a wave of anger, fear, or sadness, you simply noticed it. You observed its presence, recognized it, even welcomed it, but without giving it power to define who you are. This small yet radical shift in perspective is exactly what grants you true emotional sovereignty. This is the inner clarity Carl Jung described, the clarity that emerges when you stop hiding from yourself and bravely confront the hidden wounds you've carried. Perhaps you've spent your life trying to avoid feeling vulnerable. You've suppressed your emotions, denied your pains, and constructed walls you believed would keep you safe. Yet these defenses have only isolated you, trapping you within your own emotional turmoil. The armor you believed was strength has only magnified your wounds, transforming everyday interactions into battles, ordinary remarks into emotional threats. The storm within never calms, it merely intensifies. But now, imagine you release your grip on control, stepping back from the endless struggle. Imagine allowing your feelings to exist without judgment, fear, or avoidance. You do not fight them. You do not deny them. Instead, you witness them passing through, acknowledging them clearly without becoming entangled. From this space of openness and acceptance, you begin to experience a profound liberation. You find yourself calm, centered, and deeply present. Not because your emotions vanished, but because you discovered a core within yourself that emotions can never damage. This powerful state of awareness isn't something magical or unreachable. It is your natural state beneath layers of fear, conditioning, and avoidance. Your personal unconscious, previously a storehouse of unresolved pain, can transform into a source of insight and strength once you allow yourself to explore it fully. Carl Jung called this courageous exploration individuation, the process of integrating your entire self, bringing light into even the darkest, most hidden corners of your inner world. The moment you decide to face your unresolved wounds, to acknowledge them openly and honestly, your emotional core grows unshakable. Nothing outside can disturb it because nothing within is hidden from your awareness any longer. Consider your life up to this moment. How many choices have you made driven by hidden fears and unresolved wounds? How often have you reacted defensively, judged prematurely, or closed yourself off due to unconscious pain? How many relationships have suffered? How many opportunities have been lost because of a quiet yet constant fear of emotional exposure? Ask yourself this directly and clearly. What would truly happen if you no longer allowed your subconscious wounds to dictate your reactions and emotions? What if every choice you made was guided by clarity instead of hidden pain? Imagine for a moment that you finally let go of the unconscious strings controlling your every reaction. You are no longer that puppet moved by invisible forces from your past. Instead, you stand confidently, clearly, and authentically as yourself, finally free from emotional manipulation, from within or without. When you stop identifying yourself as the storm, ceasing to mistake temporary feelings for your permanent identity, you discover something extraordinary. You recognize the observer within you, the unchanging core watching everything without being defined by it. You understand that genuine strength does not mean never feeling pain. Genuine strength means knowing you can experience pain without becoming lost within it. So, consider deeply once more. Who are you, really, when you no longer identify with your emotional wounds? Who are you when the invisible strings finally break? When old pains lose their power? When the sky within emerges clearly from beneath the clouds of your past? Can you begin to sense the profound peace waiting for you, already present beneath the layers of past hurt and fear? True emotional freedom doesn't come from avoidance, suppression, or denial. It comes from your willingness to step into the storm, fully aware, recognizing that nothing you feel can ever truly harm the observer within. You no longer hide. You no longer armor yourself in illusions of control. Instead, you meet yourself clearly, face to face, fully accepting the totality of who you are. And in that courageous act of acceptance, you finally discover your inner core, an unshakable, infinitely vast sky where storms can come and go, but never define you again. This is the awakening waiting for you. The question remains simple yet profoundly important. What would your life look like if you finally chose clarity over control, truth over illusion, inner freedom over emotional fear? What if the only thing truly holding you back was never outside of you, but always hidden deep within? Imagine stepping into a life where your old wounds no longer dictate your decisions, your reactions, or your emotional world. Picture clearly how it would feel to wake up each morning free from the invisible pressures of unresolved memories, fears, and insecurities. There's a profound freedom that comes not from resisting pain or running from vulnerability, but from directly acknowledging the truths you've long kept hidden. When you finally face yourself clearly, something extraordinary happens. Your inner world transforms from chaos into calm, from uncertainty into genuine strength. You no longer react blindly, controlled by subconscious patterns. Instead, you respond deliberately, guided by a clarity that's rooted deeply within yourself. Consider how your relationships might shift if you were no longer responding from hidden hurts. How would your work and creative life flourish if your actions were no longer shaped by old doubts? What kind of inner peace would become possible if your sense of self was clear, authentic, and unwavering, no matter what happened around you? When you embrace your truth fully, without avoidance or fear, you tap into a source of strength nothing external can ever disrupt. This clarity isn't an abstract idea. It's a lived experience waiting patiently for you beneath the surface of your awareness. It's the quiet power of truly knowing and accepting who you are. If this conversation has stirred something meaningful within you, take a moment now to share your honest reflections in the comments below. Speak openly about what moved you, what insight resonated deepest, or what truth surfaced unexpectedly. Your genuine reflection can inspire others who are quietly seeking the same clarity. And if you feel ready to continue exploring this powerful journey inward, follow the channel so we can deepen this experience together, one profound realization at a time.